Happy Sunday, everyone, and welcome to Unity, Kern County on this fourth day of February 2024. I'm Reverend Chuck, and today's message is about the classroom called Relationships. And as we do each Sunday before we begin the message, we honor that presence of God as we best understand that presence in our life and in our affairs by praying the Charles Fillmore prayer, in the presence. I'm now in the presence of pure being and immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. I acknowledge your presence and power, O blessed Spirit. In your divine wisdom, now erase my mortal limitations, and from your pure substance of love, bring into manifestation my world according to your perfect law. And so it is. You know, it is often said that life is a classroom filled with many experiences that teach us lessons about life and how to live it. One of these classrooms, of course, is a classroom called relationships. Relationships, each of us have had one, and we're always in one, if not with others, or God, at least with ourselves. They come in many different shapes and sizes, tones and textures, each projecting their own essence into our lives through what we've come to know as the consciousness of being. Our multifaceted personalities coming together to create a symphony, or harmony, or discord of clanging and disruptive noises. And I'm sure we have had both in our life. The great spiritual lessons and insights that come to us because of our interaction with others is a great reward, if you will, for relationships we have had with each other brings with it many different lessons for us to learn and grow by. Being in a relationship does require that we find a balance of setting boundaries, and that is a lesson I'll be talking about later on in this series. So that we don't become too one sided and giving away our life energy. So it's important that we do that. And again, I will be talking on that another time. As someone once said, the person who has learned to keep his relationships in perfect repair is a very wise person indeed. Well, when Jesus made the statement that it was the Father's good pleasure to meet your needs, we can safely assume that included the need for meaningful relationships, including that of a best friend. Take a moment and think, who is your best friend? And have they met the definition of being a best friend in your life? Well, Robert Morgan, an author, shared this little story about Henry Ford, and I quote, "Once Henry Ford was having lunch with a man when suddenly he asked him, 'Who is your best friend?' The man started naming certain people. 'No,' replied Ford, 'let me tell you who your best friend is.' Then he took out a pencil and wrote on the tablecloth this sentence: 'Your best friend is anyone who brings out the best that is within you.' Do you have a best friend like that? I do. And then there are those individuals that come into our lives unannounced and end up creating great relationships with us. And here's another story by author James Hewitt, and I quote, "When we bought our new satellite dish system, the neighbors gathered up around us to help install it. Since we only had the simplest tools, we weren't making much of a progress until a man who was new to the neighborhood showed up with an elaborate toolbox with everything we needed to get it up and running in no time. So as we stood around congratulating ourselves, we asked our new neighbor, 'What do you use those fancy tools for?' Looking at us, he smiled and answered, 'Great relationships, mostly.' How many of us have had neighbors like that? I live in between two of them here in the home that I live in. In their book, Life Lessons, the authors give us 10 insights into what it means to be in relationships with others, writes Kubler. 1. We will have many relationships in our lifetime. Some are spouses, partners, significant others, friends we choose, while others come into our lives by design to give us a gift or lesson to learn from. Had few of those over my lifetime. 2. These relationships offer us the biggest opportunities for learning lessons in life by discovering 4 basic things. 1, who we are. 2, what we fear. 3, where our power actually comes from. And 4, the meaning of real love. 3, relationships happen every time we meet and interact with others. The only common denominator is us, you. 4, the attitude of being positive or negative, hopeful or hateful. We bring all of this into our relationships. And depending upon which one we bring will determine our experiences. How true is that? 5, there are no accidental meetings. When it comes to our relationships, every meeting, they write, every encounter or exchange with another, no matter how brief or profound, how positive, neutral, or painful, is meaningful and potentially important. 6, every person we encounter acts as a catalyst for us to create happiness and love, or to create struggle and unhappiness. 7, behind our quest to be in a relationship is our basic demand for healing, happiness, love, security, friendship, gratification, and of course, companionship. However, sometimes we're in a relationship because we want other people to fix us, fix our lives, to lift us out of depression or bring us incredible joy. How many times have we said or heard someone say, if blank was only in my life, everything would just be great. It would all be fixed. I'd have to worry about nothing. And then we turn around 6 months later and we hear from this person, if blank was out of my life, I'd be so much happier. Well, guess what? The person may leave, but the lesson doesn't. Someone else will show up later on to bring that lesson out again. Well, I had a few of those lessons to be learned in my lifetime. 8, all relationships do end at some point because they're not supposed to last for eternity. It is a rare case, though, when 2 people do meet, fall in love, and pass on together or within weeks or months of each other. You see, the length of a relationship is never wrong. So to judge them as a failure if they don't last is not seeing the real purpose of the relationship to begin with, which, of course, is to teach us something about ourselves, to heal what needs to be healed, and to reveal what needs to be healed. 9, people do recycle in our lives until we learn what we need to learn to heal those issues that we need to heal for ourselves, forgive the issues we need to forgive. The reason for relationships keeps coming up time and time again until we are able to deal with those things. The people and faces will change. The reason for the relationship, of course, doesn't. 10, there are no mistakes in a relationship. Everything unfolds the way it's supposed to. We learn through them and see our souls and to deliver ourselves to a healing. So these are 10 things that help us bring an awareness of what the relationships mean for each and every one of us. And if we were to do a journal on all the people that have come into our lives, what have we learned? What were the lessons? What did we heal? What did we learn about ourselves? What did we learn about them? The list can go on and on. So until we meet again, I leave you with this additional tidbit about relationships. There is a real need to be heard and understood in all our communications. Too often, relationships end up in the wastebasket of life because of a misunderstanding, as illustrated by this little story. A 4-year-old boy was overheard praying one night by the side of his bed, having been listening to the minister that day. And this is what he said: "And forgive us our trash baskets, as we forgive those who put trash in our baskets." I love it. That is great. Oh, Lord. Well, I want to thank all of you at any time. If you have a question, please feel free to contact me at revchuckunity@yahoo.com, or, of course, the Facebook Messenger if there's any questions. And thanking you, too, for following me on my YouTube page, Unity of Kern County. And for those of you that continually help with your financial gifts so that we can keep bringing these messages to you on a weekly basis. So until the next time we meet, be good to yourself and others. God bless you, dear friends.